stemmed from some health problems I had around 15. I had a lot of, we still don't really know what it was, but like I had some tremors. So I'd just shake. I just woke up one morning shaking and I wasn't sure. I mean, yeah, doctors weren't sure. We weren't sure what was going on. And I think a lot of it stemmed from anxiety, but also some other um, structural and neurological is- issues, I guess. Anyway, the only thing that like would help me slow the shaking down is if I was drawing and really focusing on like small details. And so I remember there was one specific day where just mostly out of sheer stubbornness, I just sat and I drew for 9 hours using just only having bathroom breaks. And then my mom would like bring me a sandwich. Like she's like, you should probably eat something. Like, oh, has it really been that long? So I just kind of locked myself in my dad's studio and just drew all day long because it was nice to like not be shaking.
Life is full of adventurous twists and turns, including the ones we create through our passions, dreams, desires, and discoveries. In the Life by Sarah podcast, join me and my guests as we talk about staying passionate and creative in the middle of all the chaos that is life. Hi, I'm Sarah Ann Conti, and this is the Life by Sarah podcast. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. I have an amazing guest here. This is somebody that I've known, man, how long have we known each other now?
Um, oh my gosh, it's been 25? No. Sorry. Nope, my brain is it's like 25 years.
So
No,
Scott and I have been
it's been
married.
15 years.
Yeah, well, because Scott
Yeah.
and I will be 14 years this February. So in a few days,
Yeah.
we'll have been married for 14 years. And we knew each other before Scott and I even started dating. So it's been
Yeah.
maybe 16 years.
Yeah, let's see. 2010, fall of 2010
Yeah,
is when like yeah, so yeah,
over 15
16,
years.
almost 16 years. Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy. And you are incredible. Like, since I first met you, I remember thinking how incredibly talented you are. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast to talk about your life and the different things that you're interested in, how you're able to stay passionate and excited about that. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into this because I'm excited for this. So Sydney is you work in the arts. You have worked in the arts for years. I remember when I first met you, well, looking at your drawings and how incredible they were. I feel like I remember one time you'd saying that your dad really helped develop that desire and that passion within you, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. You also have a degree in graphic design and advertising. You're an actress, which is pretty amazing.
Just amateur, but it's fun.
You do it, and I love it. You're a mom of two, and this is pretty amazing. You have done a couple book cover designs, including mine. You did my
That's
book
right.
design. And then you have one that I think you have a series that you've been working on, Love in the Lab by, I might say this wrong. Is it Julie Milo?
Yeah.
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 And the covers are incredible. They're
Oh, thank
beautiful
you.
covers. So we're going to go ahead and just get into it. Sydney, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your passions and how you got started in them?
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. You made me sound so accomplished.
You are.
Uh, well, yeah, so I mean, yeah, I grew up, I mean, I don't remember not drawing. My dad, he's an artist as well. I just remember growing up him always drawing on a scrap piece of paper or working on like some sort of comic or um some sort of freelance project. And so I always thought it was just really cool, and I wanted to do that too. And he taught me a lot about drawing and about mostly persistence. I feel like every kid is born an artist, but I think staying that way is the hard part. Um, and so, yeah, I started drawing and really drew all throughout high school. Um, I mean, elementary school too, but high school was when I was like, okay, like this has to go somewhere. I can't picture it not going anywhere. And so um, I started pursuing it more intensely as far as, well, I think a lot of that stemmed from some health problems I had around 15. I had a lot of, we still don't really know what it was, but like I had some tremors. So I'd just shake. I just woke up one morning shaking, and I wasn't sure. I mean, yeah, doctors weren't sure. We weren't sure what was going on. And I think a lot of it stemmed from anxiety, but also some other um, structural and neurological issues, I guess. Anyway, the only thing that like would help me slow the shaking down is if I was drawing and really focusing on like small details. And so I remember there was one specific day where just mostly out of sheer stubbornness, I just sat and I drew for 9 hours using just only having bathroom breaks. And then my mom would like bring me a sandwich. Like she's like, you should probably eat something. Like, oh, has it really been that long? So I just kind of locked myself in my dad's studio and just drew all day long because it was nice to like not be shaking. And yeah, I suppose after that, I started kind of getting control over my shaking and tremors. And then started, let's see, I graduated high school, and my dad has a friend in California. Well, at the time he was in California. He's an awesome artist, Jason Grego. If you look up his sculptures, he's an incredible artist. And he and my dad were childhood friends, and they had arranged for me to go out there and do an apprenticeship for him for 3 weeks. And I learned so much just in that summer, the small month that I was out there, about work ethic when it as an artist, and just being in that creative environment. And it was cool. I got to kind of learn how creativity works in a tangible way. It felt so ooh, I think like people would describe it as a muse, right? Where sometimes it like is there, and sometimes you just have to work for the muse to show up. And so I learned a lot during that apprenticeship, and it made me consider like, where do I want to take this? And I wasn't really sure, but I knew I didn't want to stop. So yeah, I've just continued doing it, and it wasn't up until like 6 or 7 years ago. I had the um, thought to go into graphic design. I kind of bounced majors a bit between um, between like at first I just did generals and like visual arts major, and then I was like, you know what, this isn't practical. Maybe I'll go into teaching. And so I started getting my teaching degree to be an art teacher. And I was almost graduated, and I just had this intense like prompting. I'm as you know, we're pretty spiritual, and as we met at church, um, and so I had this. It was God telling me like, nope, you're going into graphic design now. Wow. And yeah, I was like, I am almost done with school. All I had left was the student teaching portion. That was it. And
Wow.
but yeah, by that point I had my hours in because I was also working for a private school as a teacher's aide. So like I had the hours, but I needed to have like the student teaching, the teacher signing off on like,
Mhm.
yes, she was a student teacher. And so that was it. Like that's all I had to do. And I was so close to being done. And I had the prompting like, nope, switch now. And so I did. And the time I would have graduated as a teacher was January of 2020. And looking back now, I'm like, oh, I think that makes sense. I would not have been able to find a job as a teacher during the pandemic.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it worked out in hindsight, and I enjoy my work far more than I think I would have been tired of being a teacher pretty quick, um, especially with the health I have. And so, yeah, I switched majors and I went to graphic design. And at first I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I usually work with, like paper and charcoals and pencils. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I hate computers. And but as I started learning, something just kind of sparked in me like, oh, this is I can't believe it took me this long to get to this point where I um, I loved graphic design. I loved the advertising, the marketing,
Mhm.
the strategy behind it, and so it just clicked with me. And so yeah, I graduated in 2023, so 3 years ago, and then I got a job pretty quick after that, as a graphic designer for a music store here in Utah,
Oh,
and
way cool.
yeah, so I work part time there, and then I've been doing freelance work in my free time.
And like in the middle of all this too, this is, I mean, you got married at some point, you've had two kids. So
Yeah.
how was that juggling working on your degree, working toward what you originally thought was being a teacher and then changing your major? How did that all play into it?
Okay, let's see. Yeah, so I started school when I first got married. So, well, I went to school for a little bit after high school, just for like a year, and then took a break to serve a mission for the church, and then after that, I got married. And once I was married, I was like, okay, now it's time to focus on school again. That's when I decided to get a teaching degree. And then it was just, yeah, I was online school, and so I was able to kind of budget out my time and my resources there. And then I had my son, and um, that was a whole other challenge. It's like, oh, it's online school, so I should be fine being able to be a mom and going to school, but it certainly presented its challenges. So by the time he was 2 years old, that's when I decided to switch majors. And so it took quite a bit of time. My daughter was born in 2022, so just the year before I graduated, and that was pretty difficult just because the pregnancy with her was really hard, and so I felt like I was just, the mantra "C's get degrees." That's what I was telling myself the whole time, just to eke by. Um, and yeah, after I graduated, let's see, Lola, my daughter Lola was 1, and then my son was 6. And so I was able to, yeah, find a part-time job that was really flexible with my momming hours. And so,
Wow.
um, yeah, it worked
That's
out
so
really well.
helpful that you can find that. And especially if you really love it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm, there's some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm finally able to be home the majority of the time with my kids, where I can like work from home but also like go into the office a couple times a week and get things done there. And so like it's nice to be able to have the best of both worlds a little bit.
That's awesome. And how does your health, are you still struggling with a lot of things with your health, and how does that play into being able to accomplish these things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, a lot of it, especially with graphic design, it's very stationary. So I'm always at a desk, which can be great, but it's also um, staying still is not great for chronic pain. And so I have to make sure I'm trying to get movement in whenever I can. Um, 2 years ago, we finally figured out like what family the my health issues reside in. We're still learning more, but it's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it's a genetic connective tissue disorder where my body processes collagen incorrectly, and
Oh.
so even if I take collagen, my body's like, I'm gonna make it the wrong way, and so it yeah, everything in the body is made up of connective tissue, like down to like the casing in the nerves.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the ligaments and everything, it causes a lot of hypermobility, which causes the muscles to tense up to try to keep things stable. And so, trying to figure out how to, like, once we finally knew what it was, I've been able to like go to physical therapy, and I've seen like a cardiologist so I can like get good like diet and good exercise without overdoing it and without hurting myself.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just a juggling act. I feel like just with everything, you kind of have to figure out what works for you, and it's just constant, reassessing and recalibrating when things don't work out or when things change because we're never gonna be in a comfortable spot forever.
It's life.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't be comfortable. I
right.
feel like when you just get comfortable, God says, wait a second, I got a different plan for you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I had to learn that with kids. How old is your daughter? Remind me.
She is 4. I feel like Lola and Berkeley are about the same age. So Berkeley was born in December of 21.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Lola was January of 22, so just like a month off.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
super close.
yeah, like so I'm like, and like with especially when they're tiny babies, like you get in this routine, you're like, oh yeah, like we got it figured out, and then like they grow, so like you have to change things. Like okay, now they're crawling,
Yes.
you have to like
Yes.
change things, and so yeah,
Yeah. Yep. It's true. It's very true. And now, and yeah, and then she gets those growth spurts, and you're like, wait a second, weren't we just did this like a month ago. Why are you doing it again?
yeah. Yeah. Like, are you serious? Can you just like be comfortable there for like a year? It's just
Because
keep
the
things.
emotions start up again, and then you're dealing with all that. And, oh, super fun. Parenting is awesome. I love it.
It is fun.
Um, so I remember I don't remember how long ago it was. It was a number of years ago. I remember you had posted something on Facebook about getting back into acting and how it was mentally like it helped you with mental health or something. I mean, this I don't
Mhm.
know if you remember that, but I
Yes, I
was
do.
really excited for you because I was a little bit of a thespian when I was in high school, and I've always wanted to get back into acting. And so, do you want to tell about that journey?
Totally. Yeah. So after I had my son, I nearly like died in delivery with my firstborn. And so with my son, I had a lot of PTSD from it, a lot of anxiety that stemmed from just a really difficult recovery from that. And so I had postpartum depression, pretty intense. And I, yeah, I by the time my son was 6 months old, I was like, something needs to change. Where because I mean, I had been drawing, which is awesome, but I felt so secluded, um, just because the nature of being a mom, especially with
Hmm.
a kid being that tiny, um, and then like my hobbies as far as drawing went, that's something you do by yourself usually, or just like it's just a pretty isolated um, hobby, and so It was a high school theater teacher that I became close with, Polly Dunn. She's awesome. She had posted on Facebook that she's directing a show called See How They Run. Have you heard of that show?
No, I haven't.
It's really fun. Yeah, it's just hilarious. And so I was like, well, it's a comedy, so that would like help me get out of my funk. And so I decided to audition for it. Plus, I love the woman that was directing it, my
Just
old high
really
school teacher.
curious, who was
Mhm.
who is this teacher?
Polly Dunn is
Oh,
her name.
okay. I have
Yeah,
heard that name.
yeah, she was a high school teacher at Salem Hills for a little while. I think she moved out of state now. I'm trying to remember. I have her on Facebook, so I need to look her up. But um, she's great. She's wonderful and very talented. And so she was the director. I was like, yeah, I need to give this a shot, see if I can work with her again. And I got the role of Ida, the maid, and she
So
was a
fun.
Cockney maid with a little Cockney British accent.
So you had to do
And
the accent?
yeah, it's so I just really threw myself into it as far as the accent and memorizing the lines and trying to figure out like my character's motives. And plus with that cast, it's a smaller cast than you would have like in a musical. This was just a small straight farce, and so um, the just having that connection with the cast, we became really close, and it really helped me feel like myself again. Um, there's the with postpartum depression, it's kind of easy to lose yourself in it, and so it was really great to find myself. And I remember kind of writing in a journal just about my gratitude to the character, to Ida, for just helping me through postpartum depression.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, yeah, and it was after the show and everything, it's there's still a lot to battle. I wasn't cured of it, of course, but it really it was a bright spot, and it gave me like motivation to keep going, to keep finding those moments where I could um, feel that feel that joy in that way.
That's so amazing. And that you were able to find something to help you through that time too. I feel like, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about postpartum. I suspect I most likely had postpartum, but there was just so much other stuff going on that it was hard to tell what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that you were able to find something that could help you in that capacity. That's super and be so healing too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people who, I mean, there's so many people. Like, it's funny because I had a conversation with my mom about it one time, and she goes, I think she said something like, I didn't have it. And I was like, I don't know if you would have known because back then nobody talked about it.
They didn't like, yeah, they didn't like check for it or look for
But it
it.
seems like more and more people talk about it, and then you find out, like, yeah, more people have postpartum depression than we think.
Yeah. Even between having Desmond and having Lola, they're almost 5 years apart.
Hmm.
And um, after having Desmond, I went in for the 6 week postpartum checkup, and
Hmm.
like I just could not stop crying. I was just sobbing. I was like, it's really hard. And like I remember the midwife goes, so I think you have postpartum depression. And then she handed me a list of therapists, and that was it. And
Oh,
I was like, okay. And so I felt very uh just lost. And
that would be so overwhelming.
yeah, yeah, I was like, okay, I guess I'll call all these numbers and try to find one that anyway, that was a whole other thing. But between that and then the screening they did after I had Lola 5 years later, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful they're like looking out for this more. And
Yeah.
they were, I was fortunate enough to not have postpartum depression with her, but I was like, okay, they're like, they were really hammering like all these questions and surveys, and just I'm sure there's more improvement they can do, but it was night and day difference compared to what it was for my first with my first baby. So
That's so awesome that you had that. That's really amazing. Um, but then so you met Ida and you had a great relationship with her, and then you've continued to act since then, because I feel like every year, like, do you do one a year or do you do multiple a year? Because I feel like every year I
Um,
see at least one play that you're in, because you were
I've
just in, oh, the Christmas one,
yeah, Christmas
Christmas
Ebenezer.
Carol.
Yeah, so it was an adaptation of the Christmas Carol. It was called Ebenezer.
Oh,
Um, I love that one has a very special place in my heart. To rewind a little bit though, I feel like that was Ebenezer was my first big play. Um, since See How They Run. Um, the ones in between are either like musical reviews or there's a Halloween show that they usually put on once a year, just in the next town over. And it's like this Halloween radio show. And that one I kind of count as a play, mostly because it doesn't have like the memorization that you'd usually put into a show.
mhm.
It, it's basically like you're in a live studio, um, pretending to be doing a radio show, and so you're
Oh,
allowed to read a script. And so yeah, it's really fun. It's you're like the only parts you had to memorize are like when you're in between the radio show bits,
hmm.
pretending to be the voice actors for the radio show. And so it's very minimal memorization. And then they do the Halloween show, and then there's like a break and intermission, and then you see the characters interact because it's like a show within a show, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
it's really fun. The first year was like a murder mystery, and so they're
Ooh.
about to start this radio show, and they find out that some guy was murdered, and but they're like, okay, well, the radio, the show's starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and everyone's like trying to gather themselves, and they do the radio show, but they're also like in the background, just kind of like freaking out and like pointing and trying to stay quiet behind the scenes. And then during intermission, a detective comes in. He's like, oh, "Okay, I'm in charge here," and but they're still running the radio show at the same time. So it's a little bit of a show within a show.
That sounds
Um,
so fun.
it's a lot of fun, and so yeah, it was low memorization, so it's something easy that I can do without having to put too much time into it.
Hmm.
Um, and then by the time I did the Ebenezer show, I was like, okay, I need to dedicate a lot of time and energy into this one. And so um, I got to play the role of Christmas Past. And that Christmas Past was definitely, I also kind of wrote, journaled a love letter to Christmas Past as well. She had gotten me through a really difficult time. So this was 2 months ago. Sorry, I'm like it's still fresh, but I had had a miscarriage, and
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
it's okay. It was during the show, which was really difficult, but
Wow.
um I I feel like I borrowed a lot of strength from Christmas Past. This particular adaptation um it changed Christmas Past quite a bit. Um, but I don't want to like give any spoilers. I'm not going to, just because I know the playwright. The playwright is a good friend, and so I want to like respect his work without like yelling out spoilers. But
Hmm.
Christmas Past had opportunities where she showed a lot of strength and a lot of compassion and tenderness in the face of difficulty. And so when it was in between shows when I had miscarried, and then like just the next day I had to go and not be Sydney. I had to be Christmas Past, and I thought it was going to be really hard, but it ended up making the difficulty so much easier to handle, just because it felt like I wasn't carrying it by myself. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was. So after the show, it was a lot harder to, like process things
Yeah.
than it was during the show. I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it was going to be like, okay, show's over now. I can like grieve properly, but I feel like during the show it was a lot easier. So it was a nice outlet and it helped me a lot.
I feel like with a lot of your life story and the things that you um have done with design and art and acting, a lot of those things have really helped you through the things, the trials, the hard times that life has thrown at you. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was thinking just last week, um, I'm so lucky that I can do this for work every day. And I was just every once in a while I kind of ask myself, like, why am I doing this? What's my motive behind this? Like, why am I doing this? And the reason lately has been it's the only way to rebel against decay, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everything in this world is so fleeting and temporary, and yeah, things are in a state of decay sometimes, especially with like the contention we see in the world lately. I feel like creating is the only way to kind of rebel against that and to show that we're still fighting, that we're still if you're going to make something, it's because you want it to last. You want it
Mm-hmm.
to go on. And so it's kind of like telling Decay, like, nope, I'm still like, that's that doesn't matter because I have hope that things will get better and that this will, whatever I'm creating, will carry on.
I love that. I've never thought of it because I've always loved creativity. I mean, you were on my last podcast with that Scott and I did.
Yeah,
We had you then too, and that one was all about creativity, and we really believed that everybody's meant to create in some form. Like we were created to create.
absolutely.
And so then to hear how you perceive it, that it's about rebelling against decay, it's rebelling against destruction and um I love that thought. I'm gonna write that down in my journal now because that's such a good way of putting that.
Yeah, I
Um,
think a lot of it stemmed from like anger. I'm like, yeah, take that.
yes, I love that. So how do you then stay motivated? I guess you kind of answered it in like your like, why do I do this? But do you have anything else to add? Like, how do you stay motivated to keep doing the things that you love?
Yeah. I think time management is kind of a weird answer, but I'm noticing that I produce more when it's in smaller spurts of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, when I first interviewed for my job, my part-time job I have right now, they wanted it to be full-time, but I was like, no, my kids are my top priority, and I need to be there for them. And I remember telling my now boss, I was like, I my kids are my top priority, but if you allow me to have that, I will produce the best work that I can do for you. And they took a chance on me, thank heavens. And I've had like a lot of coworkers tell me that they're so impressed with the amount and quality of work that I've been putting out just as a part-time worker. And they're like, we had a full-time worker before, and they didn't like make things as quickly and as of high quality as you do.
Wow.
And not to like knock the previous graphic designer, because like I've seen their like native files on the office computer and like they're awesome. I think though I've asked myself, like, if I worked full time, I don't think I would be able to. I think I would just burn out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just like managing my time and to being like, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 hours today instead of, sitting here for 6 hours. I can do this in 2 hours, get out as much as I can, and then, I can just divide it up like that. I think it keeps the motivation and the creativity um, more viable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'm sure like you've experienced it before where you're like, I cannot like, I have to be creative right now, and like it's so hard to force.
Yes.
and, and so I feel like if it's like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 2 hours. I'll start in like I'll do this for 10 minutes and see if it goes somewhere. And if not, I'll move on to a different project. Because creativity, like sometimes it can be forced, but usually things don't turn out great when it's that. So
Yep.
uh, managing like time that way um, keeps me motivated where it's like, okay, like it feels more flexible, but it also feels more I don't know. Creativity is such like a living concept to me. It just feels like more alive and active where I can draw from it, and it's not this like empty withering cup that I have to like force to make something from
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's a great answer. I really like because I don't think most people would think about that. Like to stay motivated, you have to have time management, you have these spurts. Because I agree. Like I've worked the corporate world and it does burn you out to be in that chair for 8 hours a day. But when I have
Yeah.
noticed that when I try to do it in smaller spurts, I feel like I am able to get more out. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's higher quality, and I feel like when you have that creativity that's just a little more available because you have those small breaks,
Hmm.
it's it just comes to you quicker, and it comes to you like higher quality, I guess. You're able to produce work better. So yeah, it's like a kind of a weird answer because it's not like a personal motivation, but it's more of just like it's sustainable.
Yeah. Well, I think when you push yourself for that period long of time, like if you like the 8 hour workday, um, most people are honestly not as productive as they could be because
Totally.
your brain it can only focus on that one task for so long before it's like, I need to rest. And we don't, as people, I mean, I've seen the statistics as Americans, we are not very good at allowing ourselves to rest. And
Yeah,
I think in
yeah,
general, as people, I mean, I've heard even statistics in other countries, like we just don't allow ourselves to rest. But if we allow our brains to take that break, we are able to come back and have more brain capacity.
yeah, yeah. Plus, like, I don't know, especially like when it's like visual arts, your eyes get tired of looking at the same
Mhm.
thing, and like
Yeah.
you kind of get blind to the project, and then like y- you go to sleep and you come back to the art, and you're like, that looks bad. Like that looks weird. Like it didn't look as good as when I was staring at it for 8 hours. So, um, yeah, I think having those breaks, or even if it's just in between projects, because you can't go to your boss and say like, "Hey, we're cutting our 8 hour work days," but like sometimes because when I do go to the office, I'll do a 5 hour shift.
Hmm.
And there are times where I'm like, okay, I feel myself burning out on this one particular like flyer or banner or whatever I'm making.
Hmm.
And so I'll go to a different project. And if like creativity doesn't flow from that new project, I'll do a different project where it's like, okay, I need to proofread this. I'll proofread something that doesn't like take creativity. It's just more of like, more of a logical project,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll come back to it and try to juggle different projects in order to like preserve the creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How do you feel supported? Like you have your husband, and I'm sure he supports you a ton. Do you have like how does he support you? And then do you have other support systems that help keep you going?
Yeah, absolutely. My husband's probably the biggest support, for sure. He as far as like housework and stuff, we're pretty equally divided on our like housework. Um, and then he's just such a good guy, and he's always trying to spoil me and pamper me, so
Nice.
that's a plus. But I think another thing that really helped is the neighborhood I live in. Um I we call them the nerd cluster. um where we every Wednesday we do something called draw day, but it started with my friend Marissa and I. She's an artist as well, and so we just started like she introduced me to this one musical, and we started like geeking out over it. So I'd just go over there every once a week over to her house, and we would draw and let our kids play because our kids are the same age. And then we'd listen to our nerdy music, and more people in the neighborhood started like hearing about it, And some people are like, "Can I come even though like I can't draw?" I'm like, "Bring whatever project you want." And so
That's
we have
so
people
awesome.
painting or crocheting, or we had this one girl make like these beautiful Hawaiian leis. And so we just, yeah, we have our draw day, and this little group of like, it ranges some weeks because some of us can't make it every week, but is it gets up to 7 of us where,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. And but yeah, we're called the Nerd Cluster now because we're always nerding out about something, and we also really like the Nerd Cluster candies. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like they're a good motivation where it's like, okay, you can come and you can either work on something for your job or you can work on something that's just for you or, a passion project. Um, yeah, I feel like just having people, because like I said earlier, like drawing can be kind of like an isolating thing, or just some of the more um, artistic visual arts. It can it's pretty easy to do by yourself, so you usually do, but it's nice
Yeah.
to have that group to do that with.
That's so cool. I love that you have that. That's so fun.
It's awesome. I didn't realize how much I needed them. It was like about 2 years ago when because I'm always kind of kept to myself. Like I'm pretty extroverted, but like as far as like going out and doing things with people, I'm like, I'm a homebody and I'm good with that. But yeah, Marissa and I really clicked, and we started trotting. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need these women so badly. So it's nice
That's
to have
so
that support
cool.
system.
All right, last big question. What is one of the greatest things you have learned as you have faced your different challenges that you wish somebody else, like anybody else, other people listening to this would know and understand?
Ooh. Mm. Sorry, could you read that question one more time
Yeah.
just so I understand? Like, yeah,
So, what
no.
is one of the greatest things you have learned as you faced your different challenges and in trying to stay active in your creativity that you wish others would know and understand?
Okay. Ooh, that's a really good question. And I'm sure I'll answer this differently once I have more time to like marinate on
Yeah,
it.
it's always difficult when you get a question like this on the spot.
Yeah, like right off the right. Yeah. I think I think like just knowing it's not gonna last forever. Um it's a phase. Even with my health stuff, I've been told like, yeah, this is something you'll have for the rest of your life. And like it's true, I will, but um that doesn't mean there's not good days. It doesn't mean there's, not like flares go up and down, right? So
Mhm.
um it like just hang on to the good times, and then when the bad times come, just be with your support system and roll through it. Or get through it. I guess roll through it sounds a little easier. Uh, but yeah, it's not gonna last forever. I mean, right? This world is a world of temporary decay. But as much as we are combating that with creativity, sometimes that decay can be a good thing. Where the bad is not gonna last forever, and there's happy days ahead always.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sydney, for coming on the podcast and for sharing your story and talking with me about everything. If anybody wants to find you, where they can look at your work or get to know you, where can they find you online?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Facebook. I do have Instagram as well. I don't post as much as I should on there though. Yeah, Facebook or Instagram, Sydney Christensen Creations. And then I have my websites posted from there where you can see my portfolio. Um,
It's a beautiful portfolio. Go
oh,
on, look
thank
at it. I was looking at it. You've got all your logos, you've got some of your book covers. It's beautiful. It's really cool.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah, shout out to the author I'm currently doing book covers for, Julie. She May 1st is the third book
Nice.
um that's coming out. Yeah, it's the Love and oh my gosh, Delaney's in Love series. It's about three sisters and their love stories, so like they kind of overlap a little bit. And so, but you can pick up any of the three books and read them out of order, read them in order. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of the same universe. It's super fun. And then your book cover,
Britta on Fire.
on fire, so good. I do. Looking at that now, I'm like, oh, I know so much more, and I wish I could do it so much better. But
I
um,
plan I will finish the series one day. I will, and I will just come right back to you to do the other book
I'll
covers.
give you a revamped book cover because there's so many things I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Oh
I need
man,
to know
I
so much
still
more
loved it.
now.
I love it. It's a great book cover, and I have it posted on my website. I mean, I'm in love with it. I think it turned
Oh,
out
I'm so
great.
glad.
So,
I hand drew that one. It's not like a vector, and
which
I
is
I,
so
I know
good.
what to do now though. So yeah, I probably wouldn't change much, but I would just definitely change like the medium for sure. So
We'll
yeah,
see.
let me
We'll see
know. I
what
can
happens
revamp
when
it
we
for
get
you.
there. I've been working on something else. It's a much longer piece, and that's why I've never, I mean, I started writing book two.
Ooh, yay.
I bet that was like before Berkeley was born. And so eventually I will get back to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, yeah, writing is, oh my gosh, like, I don't even know. I'm not an author by any stretch of the imagination, but like, I feel like there's so much more effort put into it than visual arts. So,
I would say they're just different. I don't know if
for
there's
sure.
more or less. They're just different.
Yeah, it certainly takes far more work for me for sure. So I'm like, oh man. Yeah, my friend Marissa, she's also an author as well as an artist. And so like watching her, like I read a couple of her stories, I'm like, you authors are crazy, man.
We have a lot of crazy inner dialogue that just
It's
puts us in these
awesome.
weird places, I guess. Anyway, thank you so much, Sydney, for coming on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun. And everyone who's listening, thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe and share this podcast with others so they can get to know Sydney as well. And you can find me, of course, at sarahanncompty.com. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm even on TikTok, but I'm still figuring that out. But you can find me on all of those places at Sarah Ann Compty. And we'll see you next time.